That's a big box. Well, this was very much unexpected. This arrived at the house just the other day there, and I thought we have to jump in and do a video straight away. Big box filled with donations. Thank you very much to one Terry Riley. I was speaking to him earlier in the year and he had mentioned he wanted to send some stuff my way. This just arrived unannounced. I'm super excited to get in here and see what we have. So let's take a look. This really is a very big box. So what I'm going to do is stick this on the floor and we'll just lift out the contents onto the bench and take a look at them one by one. Well, this might be a bit of a giveaway as to what the main donation is, but we will get to that in good time. First of all though, we've got a little box here. And in here we have some expansion cards. One SCSI PCI card from Gotek. I've never really done very much with SCSI, but that 486 server that we picked up recently has a load of SCSI hard drives in it. So I could maybe separate a couple of those out and use, one of them in one of my other retro systems that has PCI expansion slots in it. SCSI is something I've always been interested in playing with because obviously it's faster than IDE. Oh, there's another SCSI card again from Gotek. And a third one, which is also Gotek. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do something with SCSI. As I said, it is faster than the old IDE drives, but I wonder just how much faster it actually is. That could be quite interesting. A video in the future. Set up like a Windows 98 system and benchmark IDE drives against SCSI drives. SCSI will be faster, but just how much faster would it be? So the next card we have to look at then is a Diamond Multimedia 3D FX. This is a Voodoo 1. 4 megabytes of memory on board. Almost looks as if that capacitor there has leaked. 1997 surface mount caps. Probably just about the tail end of that period where these sort of capacitors were not great and are known to leak and cause problems. And I've just spotted a little bit of damage there. One pin is slightly bent. And also there as well on that chip. There are 2 pins bent and they're actually shorting out to the pins either side of them. So it is going to need a little bit of love. We should be able to bend those pins back into position. And we could always give it a recap and a bit of a clean. Hopefully it works though. The Voodoo 1, absolutely awesome GPU. It really did so much for 3D gaming on PCs back in the late 90s. The Voodoo 1 and the Voodoo 2. Those were the cards to have. The standout game would have to be Unreal, wouldn't it? It just looked absolutely awesome running on one of these. We've got a pile of memory here. These two look to be the same. IBM branded memory modules, 72 pin, 16 megabytes, and googling the part number, this is 60 nanosecond RAM, so very fast. I wonder if we put this into the 486 build, would it allow us to tighten those memory timings and get as much performance as possible out of that system. And then these other 2 modules, 72 pin again, and looking up that part number, these are 16 megabyte EDO modules. Be interesting to see if these or the IBM 60 nanosecond ones perform faster in the 486. And then we've got what seems to be a hard drive. IBM Death Star, 123 gigabytes, 7200 RPM. So a nice fast drive, 120 gig. That would be suitable for an early XP build, which to be honest is something I want to look at doing at some point. So we will keep this handy just for that. That's just some packing material. I have to say everything has been really well packaged. Right, what's next? A bag of bits. What are these? 50 pin IDC SCSI connectors. Those could come in really handy. I would need to get myself some ribbon cable though, but the connectors themselves definitely useful to have. Molex to floppy power connector. What do you actually call that end for the floppy drive? Floppy Molex? Don't know. Anybody know? Look at this. Check this out. This is super awesome because I was just about to go and buy myself one of these. A Gotek. I do need another one for an upcoming project. And this actually is a genuine Gotek. That is absolutely awesome. Complete with its OLED display. This will come in very useful. USB to floppy. If this had arrived a couple of weeks ago, we might have been putting a floppy drive in my Windows 10 system rather than the LS120. I may actually test that out, you know. Can we use one of these under Windows 10 to read and write floppy disks rather than that LS120 drive? Could be interesting, although as far as I understand, these things do not support double density 720K disks. I think we will put that to the test though. Floppy ribbon cable and IDE to compact flash adapter. Just a 40 pin IDE. It's got the separate power requirement here. So we could use this in one of the old DOS machines. Industrial grade compact flash as well. That's pretty cool because those are quite expensive. Thank you very much. And a little USB cable for Gotek programming. Very handy. And then I suppose there is no more hiding it. The rest of this is just onto the main donation. And I'm sure you probably guessed from that Commodore tape deck. We have some VIC-20 tapes here. An introduction to BASIC. Presentation programs. Another copy of an introduction to BASIC. And then some manuals. Commodore second year warranty. Premium for second year warranty on your VIC-20, £20. Or if you take that out within 30 days of purchase, only £18. Doesn't seem as if our second year warranty was applied for on this VIC-20. There's our actual user manual. That is pretty cool to have. Oh, what's this? It fell out. Presentation programs, user manual. That obviously goes with that cassette. Speaking of cassettes, there is the tape deck. A very plastic affair, and it has yellowed quite a bit, as you can see. And then it's just the main event, the big item. One boxed Commodore VIC-20 color computer with sound and music. Yeah, the box has taken a little bit of damage, but considering the age of this, it is in really good condition. For family, business and educational use, how many kids trick their parents into buying machines such as this because it's used for education? Yeah, right. The only reason anybody wanted one of these or one of its competitors was to play games. That is one very excited looking kid. And we get a bit of an overview of everything that can be connected to our VIC-20. Modem for telephone and telecomputing. VIC-20 cassette unit, so we'll be plugging that in there. Printer, single disk drive, our video output, video cable, RF modulator, television or monitor. And then, as you know, the cartridge port is here. And it's memory expansion, another memory expander, expansion motherboard, plug-in programs, plug-in program, doubling up on things here. Power goes in the side, as does your joystick, paddle or light pen. But let's get in here and take a look at the system itself. Check it out. This is one of the early VIC-20s. Oh, this is so awesome. And the reason I know that is because it's got this power brick, which is essentially just a transformer. It's only putting out 9 volts, 3 amp. Whereas the later VIC-20 and the system I already have uses the same power brick as the Commodore 64, which generates the 5 volt as well in the brick. This one is different. It just takes the 9 volt AC into the side of the machine, and then the 5 volts is derived internally. We are going to have to find a plug though. That's not a problem. I can sort that. But that is absolutely awesome. Just check out how beautiful that machine is. There's a different type of AC connector on the side. Oh, I am just so super excited by this. I sort of just assumed it was going to be the same VIC-20 as the one I already have, but it's not. It's one of the early ones. It'll have the big board in here. Oh, this is just so awesome. So made in West Germany, and our serial number WGB48263. I really can't wait to test this thing. There's actually quite a bit of weight to this. It is significantly heavier than the Commodore 64 and my other VIC-20. Before we do anything though, I want to stick a plug on this to test the output of the transformer, although I expect that to be fine. And I also want to open this up just to have a look around the insides of it. I've stuck a plug on the end of this, so let's test it. Should be giving us 9 volts, or thereabouts anyway. No explosions so far, that's a good sign. And 10.9 volts. Yeah, that's not bad. And I think when we put the load of the VIC-20 itself onto this, that'll probably settle back down a bit. So at least we know the transformer is good. Before we do jump in and test this though, I want to open it up quickly and just have a look around the insides. Just 3 screws along the front. And as per usual, a little trick that I was taught. Try and tighten first of all, just so you hear that snap. And then you can take it out without risking cracking any of the plastics. And we are in. Just disconnect the keyboard and the LED so we can get that out of the way. It has the paper shield in it, as you would expect. That is an absolutely gorgeous motherboard. Copyright Commodore International 1981. So what I want to do first of all is I'm going to pull all the chips that are in sockets. There's our CPU, the 6502. There is the VIC, the namesake of the system. We will pull that out, and we'll pull the 2 VIAs, since those are socketed as well. And that will just allow us to test voltages around the board without potentially risking damage to any of those components. So let's hook up our power. And let's see what sort of voltage we're getting. Hopefully it's just 5 volts. Our power switch seems to be a bit flaky. Turn that off again. That was really stiff. Seems okay now. Right, power on. Let's try and measure voltage. Just across one of the capacitors, there's one there. Negative 4.8. Obviously got them round the wrong way. 4.86 volts. That's not bad. A bit on the low side, but you know, not bad. So if that pin there, if that is negative, there's our 4.8 out on the memory. Yeah, it seems pretty consistent. I think we could test it. Voltage rail seems good. Just out of interest, what is that AC voltage coming in now with the load of the system on it? Albeit the system's not running without the processor. It came down slightly, 10.4. Dare say it would drop even further with the system actually running. Let's get all those chips back in. We'll hook up AV and hopefully it works. Okay, everything is hooked up just to the capture device on the PC over composite. Here we go. Getting a signal. And yes, it boots. But that picture is absolutely dreadful. 3,583 bytes free. Is that right? Yep, 3,583. So that is right. Our VIC-20 is seemingly working, but that picture is dreadful. It's very blurry and it is very dark. I certainly don't think the picture out of my other VIC-20 is as bad as that. And I highly doubt the poor picture is just a failing of this type of VIC-20 with the long board on it. So maybe our VIC chip has something wrong with it. Maybe the corresponding circuitry here behind it has something wrong with it. I see a few capacitors there. Possibly they might need changed. There are a couple of pots there. Do these have any effect on the picture? Well, that one's making it brighter. That one doesn't really change anything by the looks of it. But when it does tweak the brightness, it's not changing the intensity of the colours or anything. It's just the actual brightness. But at least we know the VIC-20 does work. Let me reattach the keyboard. We'll hook up that tape deck and test that to see if it works. Okay, the system is all back together and the tape deck is hooked up. Powered on to make sure it still works. Yep. Still looks awful though. And let's try it with this tape presentation programs. It's rewinding the tape anyway. No auto stop. And referring to the manual, because I have never loaded anything off tape on a VIC-20 before. So load, keyboard works. And we just put the name in of what we're trying to load. Typing, oh, T doesn't work. Does work. Typing trainer. Then we hit return, press play on tape, and it's searching for it. So you can see on the screen there that it has missed some characters. Don't know if that's down to the dodgy video signal or what, but the word searching, it's missing the R and the H. Found typing trainer, our little tape deck obviously works. I'm sure this is going to take quite a while. Hey, that wasn't too bad. That's done. Run. Here we are. Keyboard training, practice exercises, quit program. So it's just F's and J's. Obviously trying to get you used to your finger positioning on the keyboard. Albeit I never really typed like this, to be honest. Well, at least we know that the tape deck works. How about we try a cartridge game? I only have the one, which is this, Fourth Encounter. Let's give this a go. Oh. Get in! Oh my goodness. At least we know there's nothing wrong with that cartridge port. They're all like that. And there it goes. It has loaded the game, but there's definitely something wrong with this system. We're missing a lot of detail there. A lot of the characters are missing or partly missing. There's definitely something wrong with our little VIC-20. Try a little bit of contact cleaner in there, I think. And we'll just put a little bit on the cartridge as well, because why not? Give this a bit of a quick clean. Ew, it is quite dirty. Nope. It's pretty much exactly the same. Yeah, even trying to launch into the game, something definitely not right, because it's not meant to scroll the whole playfield like that. So the VIC-20, it almost works. No sound out of it. And display corruption. Well, the display and the sound is all driven by the VIC chip itself. I dare say that chip in here is starting to fail, or it certainly seems as if it has problems anyway. I've pulled this VIC chip out of my other system. I know this one is good. So let's swap it into this machine and see if it solves the problem. Just checking that I didn't bend any of these pins when taking that out before, and no, I haven't. The problem could also be that socket. They are notoriously bad sockets in all these systems from Commodore. Try to be a bit of contact cleaner on it. There's quite a bit of dirt there. In fact, you know what? Just after the contact cleaner, let's put the original chip back in and try it one more time. I don't think this will fix it. I do think there's a problem with the chip, but you never know. And the reason that there was no sound was nothing to do with the system. I had the settings wrong on the capture device. So let's hook up power again and the AV, and let's see if this makes any difference. Nope. But at least we are now getting sound out of it. And that does sound right, but the picture is still screwed up. Let's swap those chips. My battery just died on the camera as I put the new chip in there, but it is there now. Let's test it. So no, that hasn't fixed it. We have the same problem. The colours do look a bit better though. It does look a bit brighter. But we still are missing characters. There still is corruption there. So it's maybe not the VIC. It's maybe something else. And sound still works. Just let me remove the cartridge. I just want to boot into basic. Yeah, that's more like the colours I would expect to see. That more vibrant blue. But that might just be the difference between two versions of the VIC. This is obviously an older one. There definitely is something else wrong inside our little machine though. Colours are all over the place. Well, I think this video is getting long enough, so I'm going to call it a day at that. We did get bogged down in the VIC-20 a little bit there, and unfortunately we weren't able to fix it. It's got some sort of colour problem, but at least we know it's not the VIC chip. If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's one of the supporting logic chips is away. I do have a pile of those. We could start trying to swap them out, but we're going to leave that for another video in which we'll get this thing working, get it cleaned up, and maybe do a bit of retro brightening on our tape deck. I did very quickly try the USB to floppy converter, but unfortunately this doesn't work. Every time I plug it in, whether this is connected to a floppy drive or not, Windows just throws an error saying USB device not recognized. So possibly something wrong with that. For the rest of it though, the Voodoo card, well, it's got those couple of bent pins. So I will need to take a look at that, and that capacitor that looks like it's leaked. Not 100% sure, but there only is about, what, half a dozen of them on it. I think we'll just swap them all out. May as well. Doesn't take long. And that is pretty much it. So thanks again to Terry Riley. Your generosity here is absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you very, very much for sending this stuff my way. It is very much appreciated. It will go into the collection and be well looked after. But that is it for now. So hopefully you enjoyed this wee video. If you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up, as it does really help the channel. Why not hit subscribe if you haven't done so already? Still plenty more yet to come on CRG, and I'll see you next time.